would like to talk to you about why Tai Chi is a great tool for giving you the life you want. You may have an idea that Tai Chi is an obscure Chinese esoteric practice. You may or may not know that it is a martial art. You may think of it the same way you think about yoga or some other exercise. There are certain specific characteristics of this practice which make it an exceptionally strong choice for transforming your life. Not just transforming it by losing weight, not just transforming it by fixing a pimple on your face, not transforming it by getting a corner office or getting a wealthy boyfriend or a good-looking girlfriend or any of the other sort of stereotypic things that we think we want in life, but transforming it in a very global way. So before I talk specifically about how Tai Chi does that, let me talk to you about what Tai Chi is. It's an art form that is built on a tripod. And it's quite old, and so is the tripod. One leg of the tripod is traditional Chinese medicine. The second leg of the tripod is the martial arts of China that had a long and storied history over thousands of years with techniques derived from the way animals moved and tried and tested on the dusty road, and if they didn't survive and they didn't succeed, those techniques and those movements failed and were not passed on. You died. Nobody learned that from you. The third leg of the tripod is something called Taoist philosophy, which is very much the natural philosophy of people more familiar to us in this country like Emerson and Thoreau. So let's go back to the first leg and talk about health for a minute. We have gotten off the path of good health in this country because of a very particular thing that happened back in the 17th century when René Descartes, a French philosopher, began to separate in our cogitation and our consideration the mind and the body. And ever since, we've been struggling to reintegrate the idea of a mind and the idea of a body. And in fact, what we are is our material stuff, and we're also our thoughts and our feelings. And all of this is integrated. It's all one thing. Now, why is that true? It's true because our nervous system, which is both a physical and chemical/electrical phenomenon, looks like a bit of a jellyfish, and it has tendrils that extend down from the brain into the body. At the interface of those tendrils with the stuff of us that we normally think about, the meat, the muscle, the bone, the skin, at the interface between the nervous system and those other parts of our body, there is a symphony of chemistry and electricity taking place. And that symphony creates such an incredibly intimate and rich connection that we are, for all intents and purposes, inextricable between a combination between the brain/mind and the meat/body. Now, once we begin to consider ourselves in that fashion, we begin to notice that when we change our body, that is, when we do exercise, when we stick a pin in the hand, when we do anything physical at all, what we're doing with our body has an immediate effect, and sometimes a lasting effect, on our brain, on our mood, on our perceptions, on the way we see things, and even on more difficult to pin down functions of the brain, such as priorities and worldview. Conversely, when we change our mind, when our mind opens to new ideas, wow, the world is not flat, we also change things in our body. There are physical changes that accompany the changes that come from ideas. So a mind-body practice has a particular ability to work in a conversation between this stuff and this stuff and make a very compelling tool for change. So let's go a little further with this idea of health and how a mind-body practice can affect it. If you run or swim or do some other aerobic exercise which gives you endorphins, the body releases these internal chemicals and they make you feel good. And then at the end of their run in your bloodstream, they diminish and they are metabolized. And what's left is either a feeling of fatigue or a feeling of emptiness, or at best case, you're back to where you were before that rush of endorphins occurred. If you were to couple the new sensations and new thoughts and new feelings that came with a good run with some new ideas, then you could say that at the end of the endorphin cycle, your brain would then be tickled by new ways of thinking about stuff. And so you could prolong the experience that the endorphins initially gave you. This is just one simple notion. We have health, and we're talking about the tripod that includes traditional Chinese medicine, the first leg of the tripod in Tai Chi.